Is Quake still worth playing in 2023? This video will answer that question and more as I break down why Quake Remastered on PS5 is still just as good as it was back in '96 and in lots of ways, much better. So back in August of 2021, id Software and Bethesda hired famed, acclaimed, and never once shamed Nightdive Studios to make a console port for Quake. This was a no-rubber, raw-dog banger of an idea because Nightdive is known for remastering and porting old games to be played on newer hardware, enhancing them with higher resolutions and many times some nice quality of life improvements. Nightdive made the game using their own QUAKE engine. I will be honest, I don't know much about the QUAKE engine, except it was made by legendary programmer Samuel Villarreal, and is their proprietary engine used mostly to remaster old games. Some games using QUAKE engine include Quake, Doom 64, Blood Fresh Supply, and more classics of the golden era of shooters. The game runs beautifully too. Unparalleled smoothness, tight controls, authentic visuals, inspired lighting. It does it all. The game is always running at a solid 60 FPS, and if you have the TV for it, I've read it can actually play at 120 FPS, which is something I never thought I'd see on consoles, really. Moving on to the game itself, what do you get here when you buy Quake Remastered? Well, you get a permanent seat in hell next to... No, I'm kidding. You actually get the full Quake 1996 4-episode campaign along with the official expansions, the multiplayer mode, and then the best of all, they have an add-on section that features official id-approved fan-made stuff. The add-ons are all of such high quality too. Even though the PC literally has oodles of fan-made content, I would think that some of it would be of low quality. Kind of like when there was thousands of Doom WODs and it took a while for people to figure out which were the best ones and most worth playing. But either Bethesda or id themselves have chosen the best of the best here and included not only 4 official expansions containing 45 levels, but also 7 amazing add-ons containing 58 levels. You get the Quake campaign, Scourge of Armagon, Disillusion of Eternity, both Dimension of the Past and of the Machine. Then with the add-ons, you got awesome stuff like Quake 64, the Horde mode add-on Honey, my personal favorite Beyond Belief, and more. Your core gameplay here is the same as it was back in '96, or at least it feels the same as the nostalgia portrays it in my memory. The game is fast-paced, badass, gun-blasting, load-blowing firefights between you, the Quake guy, and all kinds of otherworldly scum. From ogres to dudes with laser guns to really excitable dogs, you got it all covered here when it comes to great enemies. You can even get them to infight like you could in Doom, which helps out sometimes. Some of the enemies, though, will make you rage. I'm talking about the jizz-spawn goos, the please don't make eye contact with the shamblers, and the cruise missile locked on Vors. These enemies keep you on your bunny hopping toes and can induce paranoia with one faint mumble heard from just out of sight. The way the enemies shake up gameplay here is great too. This was about 25 years before Doom Eternal got you to switch tactics by utilizing resource management. What they did with the Quake enemies was give them each unique behaviors in their AI, so it's not like other games where every enemy goes down the exact same, or even worse, zombie games where mindless AI that beelines towards you is literally all they do. No, in Quake you have to take out the ogre while dodging not only his devastating chainsaw melee, but also his ranged grenade lobbage. With the shambler, you have to break the line of sight while trying to shoot him, which is a fun mini-game in and of itself. With the Fiend, you have to constantly whip your camera around while strafing to hit the thing because they're so fast and using a controller isn't as good as or as fast as using a mouse. Regardless, what I'm trying to say here is that the game holds up ridiculously well even after going on 26 years now. It feels better than a lot of modern shooters, and it has another great quality of having a no frills, no fancy cutscenes, no QTE, no bullshit gameplay. You have guns, you kill enemies, you have fun and repeat. The game is just fun and challenging in such a timeless way as Doom or Tetris. Despite getting old, they never actually feel old. They added a handy weapon wheel too, similar to games like Doom or Prey 2017, where the game slows down while you're selecting a weapon. It's really nice if you need a second to think about or strategize with which gun would fit the situation best. There's also a level select for every campaign or add-on, which is such a great feature for a game that isn't really narrative driven. So it's nice if you're just stuck or pissed off, you can just skip it and come back. Quake has some of my favorite level design in any FPS game, since some of the maps border on being maze-like, which really always made me want to master them, even when I originally played them back in '96. The boss fights are still lacking, but I wouldn't say they're bad. They're just as novelty as the Icon of Sin, and actually in the add-on levels they improved the boss fights with some clever environmental interactions, so no faults in the gameplay here. It's just as good or better than it was back in '96. You get all your classic guns here as well. You got your shotgun, your double barrel shotgun, your nail gun, your triple nail gun, grenade launcher, rocket launcher, lightning gun. A couple new guns that I hesitate to actually call new because they're just like altered ones for the expansion, like the proximity grenade launcher, which I barely ever used. And I think another one was, instead of your triple nail gun shooting nails, it shoots lasers instead. They are fun distractions for a little while, but you'll just be using and enjoying the fuck out of the classic lineup here, since everything feels amazing. And it actually does feel enhanced too because of the PS5's DualSense controller. The haptic feedback on the triggers when shooting adds another layer of immersion, and your gunshot noise actually comes out of the controller speaker too, which adds even more immersion. And since your gun is held in the center of the screen and not off to the side, it just feels a lot more visceral and immersive when things are chaotic and you're blasting your double barrel and all you have all the extra audio-visual stimuli. It all comes together beautifully and really makes the old game feel new, or even like a modern shooter with the whole retro throwback style. There's a ton of game options as well as accessibility options. Nightdive went all out when making this console edition of the game. It almost looks like a PC options menu. They give you an FOV slider, which some people will require and will refuse to play a great game over nowadays, so it's great to see that here, and hopefully it will start showing up in every first-person game in the future. Also, visual options, stuff like texture filtering, anti-aliasing, ambient occlusion, depth of field, motion blur, all that stuff is here. You can change your HUD, you can change your crosshair, you can change your control bindings. Legit everything you would want or need from a Quake remaster is here. And that's almost all I have to say about it, really. Nightdive have done an admirable job of remastering one of the all-time greats, and I feel like everyone who calls himself an FPS fan should play Quake at least once. I mean, I don't have to explain how influential the Quake engine was. We all know the impact Quake had on single and multiplayer shooters. I often see this game on sale super cheap, like $3.99 Canadian, which is an absolute steal. Hell, even when it's regular price, it's cheap. $13.49 is still incredibly cheap for Quake, and I would highly recommend it to fans of FPS games, fast-paced games, or games that take skill to master. It's got tons of content already, and I believe they will keep adding more, much like they do with Doom 1 and 2, so thank you for watching. And if you played Quake back in '96 or picked up the remaster, let me know what you think of either one in the comments, because I love talking about Quake.